Hello, everyone. This is Tom O'Connor. Welcome back to the eDiscovery channel. Speaking to you once again from COVID-stricken New Orleans. I don't think I've left my house in 3 weeks. That's an exaggeration. It's only been 2 weeks.
I've seen the pictures of all the non-Mardi Gras
right.
events.
So I've staggered out a couple of times. You're right. It is crawfish season, so I couldn't deprive myself of that. And of course, Rocky Messing, who just informed me he's speaking to us from lovely Baltimore, Maryland, Charm City. Rocky, good to see you again. And we are both very pleased to have as our special guest today, as you can see on the screen, Pavan Kotha, who is the FTS manager at Clayton Utz in Sydney. Am I correct? Sydney, Australia?
That's right, Tom. It's Sydney, Australia.
Yes, so Pavan's dialing in from down under. And we get the
he's in the future.
He's what?
It's already tomorrow, so we're good.
Yeah, I live in the future. I live in the future. That's right. I'm from the future.
That's funny. I had asked him just before we went live what time it was. I forgot to ask what day it was.
Yeah.
So, Pavan, we are fairly informal here in the eDiscovery channel because that's just the way we are. But I'm really curious as to how you got started in this business. I know from our talking in the past, we were just chatting again earlier. The last time we actually saw each other in person was at the last live Relativity Fest, which would have been in October of 2019, as I recall. Yeah,
that's right.
A lifetime ago.
Yeah, it seems that way. It certainly seems that way. As I recall, you worked for a while. At that time, you were still with Deloitte. Is that correct?
Yes,
I was with Deloitte in the United Arab Emirates. Yeah,
that's right.
And you had done a little bit of time at Ernst & Young, and then before that, we're at Deloitte also. And I got the so tell us how did you get into this? Where'd you start out, and how'd you end up where you are now?
So, as most of my colleagues and industry friends, I did land into this field. Destiny. I wouldn't say accidentally because there is a little bit of intention from me as well. So it's more of destiny. So I was fresh graduate out of computer science and engineering background, and I was looking for job opportunities. I was working as a web designer tutor at that point. I was teaching students on web designing, and I was also teaching them on C#, mostly programming and other stuff. That's what India is about, right?
Let me interrupt. I'm sorry, just a second. So, where are you from? Where did you grow up?
I am from India, Hyderabad.
India.
It's South India.
Yeah, sure.
It's Hyderabad, where it's famous for biryani. Hyderabad biryani. It's a heaven for foodies. If you're a foodie, that's the place. You get everything. International, local, everything.
Do they have crawfish? That's what Tom wants to know. If they have crawfish or not. Yeah.
you get anything that's moving, but beef is not very popular out there. Otherwise, all the seafood you would get there. Yeah, all the seafood, chicken, meat, all that stuff you still get there.
Right.
So that's where I grew up. Hyderabad, India, and yeah, I was a web designer tutor, C# tutor, and then I had an interview with Deloitte, Hyderabad. And interesting thing is, my sister also had a call with, taken an interview with Deloitte, Hyderabad. Both of us started our careers at the same time, in the same team, in the same office, and the same umbrella of team in Deloitte, Hyderabad.
Wow.
And I was not happy, to be honest, because I missed 1 year. I was 1 year elder to her, and due to a few circumstances, I had to pursue my career as an aeronautical engineer. I didn't like it because I was really bad at drawing. I cannot draw. So I tried it for 6 months, and they said you need to be really good at drawing designs and blueprints. I screwed up every time whenever I given a test. So I thought this is not for me. So I lost 1 year there. Then I'm back to technology and computer science. So that's when. So I went to college with my sister, same class, same place. And then I ended up, it's a destiny, right? I ended up again in the same team with my sister. So I was not happy about it, to be honest. I should be ahead of you, right? I'm stuck with you all my life. Fortunately, that's when my sister got married and I got the freedom. So I was working with my sister for 2 years in Deloitte, Hyderabad. Then she got married. That's when I actually got wings. That's when I actually started looking out girls. Until then, whatever I do in office, outside, it's all my parents know about it all the time.
Right,
so,
you're under the
Wow. And what was the age difference?
1 year, exactly 1 year.
Only a year. Yeah. Okay.
1 year, 3 months. Yeah.
Okay, so there you are, and at that point in Deloitte, were you actually was it the general technology consultant, or it was already on the eDiscovery side?
It is already on the eDiscovery side. So right back then, it was 2010 when I joined Deloitte Hyderabad, and India, especially Hyderabad, was the hub for all the back offices in US. And even for eDiscovery, Deloitte had a huge team called EDSC. It was a global center for eDiscovery. Now we call it as Deloitte Discovery. It's pretty huge. All the pioneers of the technology actually came from that. So everything that you see here, even the redaction, automatic redaction, it's there back there in 2013 itself in Deloitte. So they're always way ahead of the curve. They're always innovating stuff. It was a great team. So they had a support office in Hyderabad, where we used to do all the processing, loading data into review platform. Back then it was all concordance. Relativity was popular after 2012, I guess. That's when we all started using relativity in full-fledged manner. Until then it was bits and pieces of things you do in different tools. So it was all fun because we had zero responsibilities. All we had to do is they give us data, we process the data, we load it into the review platforms. If you get any issues, you struggle, you figure it out. But it's a bunch of young kids who just got off college, around 17 of us. So it was fun. Those were the best times. And me trying to sneak out from my sister whenever I get an opportunity. It was absolute blast. I had great fun.
When you say you got data, load it and process it, what size were the data sets that you were working with?
At that point, 100,000 documents is a huge workspace for us, right? We used to say if anything more than 10,000, we used to look at with awe, like, oh my God, that's a lot of data. And 1 GB used to be like, wow, 1 GB. That's back in 2010. And even for that 1 GB to get into a review platform, we used to struggle because the tools were not that sophisticated. Those were always installed in the laptops, not on web servers.
I'm just looking over to the side here because I had written down, I'm sorry, Rocky. I had written down on a piece of paper. I was talking with my friends in the Federal Defender's Office. We had a big case around that time. And I remember thinking it probably wasn't all that big. And so I wrote it down and it was 1.3 million documents, which, wow. Yeah. White collar criminal case.
That's big for sure.
Yeah, but it was only when all was said and done and we culled it, it was only about 100 gigabytes that ended up being reviewed. But we thought it was like,
well, for a criminal case,
the Mount Everest of
a criminal case that is even today that's still relatively big in terms of documents.
Terabytes are not all that uncommon in white collar criminal cases now.
Yeah,
amazingly. Well, yeah, in a regular criminal case,
to cull it before culling it down. Yeah.
So, yes. But yeah, they because like you've heard me say this before. We the same team had this is Russ Aoki, the attorney up in Seattle, who leads the big data teams, and we had a case involving 6 or 7 Hell's Angels. They seized like 21 computers, right? I mean, and that's what I tell my clients. We don't really have that much data. I said, look, the Hell's Angels had 21 computers. I'm
Right.
pretty sure you got stuff.
You've got something out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
So-
sorry. I just was
That
curious
was
what you were seeing back then. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how it all started. Work used to be fun because it's more like
Wait. Used to be fun. Come on.
Hey,
Yes,
man.
yes. There is no, you always, it's a human nature, right? You always like the past. You think past is so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Those are the
Present
good old days.
always,
Yeah.
present is always okay. Future is really hopeful. You think some magic is going to happen in future. So yeah, I say it was fun.
We'll go with it. So okay, so you start doing that at Deloitte. You switch over to EY. Still in EY was still in India, or
EY was still in India, but I was mostly in US support, working on site with the US teammates. Few projects are on the client location. So that's when I switched from being an analyst to proper consultant. So there again, a lot of fun in EY as well. Very interesting cases which I can't disclose, but it's a lot of fun. And then moved to Deloitte Dubai. That's where I had to again shift from consultant to client facing true consultant. You always advise what's best for the client. You always keep you prioritize client and always see client gets the best. That's I would say Deloitte Dubai was the career changing role for me. I have to shift my mindset from doing things or looking at things from my perspective to looking at things from what's beneficial for the team first, and then what would be beneficial for the client. So it was quite a big shift for me, and thank you to all my mentors and my team out there in Deloitte Dubai. Right. I'm still in touch with them, all great guys. And then,
I'm sorry, let me interrupt again. So who were you serving then? Who was your clientele? I'm not asking for names, but was it in Dubai or Dubai centric, or was it a regional perspective?
It was 80%. I would say it was regional. Most of them it would be for investigations, internal investigations, or it would be global. Like there would be a case happening in UK, but the custodian is here in Dubai. Yeah, you support UK teams in helping with the collection, processing, of course, and loading it into relativity. And we also manage all these internal expectations, client expectations, things like that. But it was, again, so much fun, great time.
And at that point, so you're living in Dubai. What was it like, having grown up in India, school in India, started working your career in India, going to the US and then going to Dubai? They're all three very, very different types of environments, different types of places to live. So what was that like?
I did not get a cultural shock when I went to Dubai, but there was a little bit of cultural shock when I went to US, right? It was, people did scare me a lot. They did tell me stories like, if you jaywalk, you're dead. You'll be in prison. You'll be in prison for 6 months. So all those stories, I was very, very scared even to walk on road without looking at least taking 2 minutes. So I used to think for 2 minutes, it's all okay. I can cross roads. That's how scared I am.
Right.
The stories for that. But when I was in US, that's when I started appreciating the personal space they have. I love the personal space concept in US. Which not very much appreciated in India. Personal space is not very much appreciated in India, but that's something I really liked in United States. At the same time, you also have this vocabulary gap. You know English, right? You know English, but things like slang, and also things like we call it tissue in India, which you call paper towel in US, right? Tissue versus paper towel. Tissue is something you use in the washroom. Paper towel is what you used to, you use it in restaurants. So those things, funny incidents. So that's the reason there was a cultural shock when I was in US. And my wife also accompanied me for 6 months in US. So it was in California. In California, we lived there 6 months in California. I lived in New York City for more than 6 months, 1 year in California. So I traveled a lot, San Francisco, New York. I never got a chance to go to US Hermitage office, where you have the actual center, but it was fun. So there was a cultural shock where I had to adapt a lot. But when I moved to Dubai, I'm already okay with the international audience, different cultures, and to value their. It's our mindset shift again. So Dubai was, again, you hear a lot of stories about Dubai that things are really strict there. Women do not have freedom and all. Again, you go there, you live there, and you realize it's all a myth. It's not true.
Right. So much of it is the news, the media, I have the same thing. Yeah, I have the same thing in Israel where life on the ground is very different than life as portrayed in society and what you think it is. So, and especially if you're working, you're part of society, you're part of just it's everyday life. It moves, it's a different pace than maybe Tom has down there in New Orleans, but we can't all be New Orleans. So. Very cool. Okay, so you're basically you're now in that full consultative, partial sales, because I mean anyone who's doing that is out selling all the time also. Right. And you said your wife came with you. Did you have kids at that point? Were you dragging them all over the world?
We were just married. That I said it was fun because it was like an extended honeymoon for us. Of course, I did work, but it was. Right.
they didn't pay you to just hang out in Dubai. Come on.
they did pay for my wife's flight tickets and stay. That's more than I can ask. Okay. I got married in June and I was in California in August. So there is no and. It was supposed to be 2 weeks trip and it went on for 5 months. That's when my wife really got angry. Like, you just married me and you just went. So I had to convince my partner to just come down to India, spend a few days there and come back. I did that. And then that's when things got really tricky. She was like, I miss you. It's a love marriage, by the way. In India, it rarely happens. It doesn't happen very often. Now it's happening very often. At that point, love marriage is something it doesn't happen much. So yeah, I had my responsibilities because I promised her I will be with her, all that thing. I had to convince my partners to bring her to US. It was a great trip, both professionally and personally. I enjoyed it a lot.
Cool. And then how long were you in Dubai for?
Dubai was so my kid was born in 2016, and that's when I got this opportunity. So I moved to Dubai in 2016 April, and I stayed there until December 2019. December 2019.
Got it.
Yeah.
And, so and at that point, you switched over to Australia, or was there anything in between?
Yeah, cool. And the major factor has been bringing up my family in a place where it's really kids friendly, because Dubai there was a lot of heat, and you always in air conditioning, which I didn't want my kid to grow up. Always in the air conditioning. I want her to be outside, play outside, things like that. So that has been my major factor and drive to looking out opportunities in Australia, and I landed up in CU, which is Clayton Utes. Yep. And I'm very, very happy. I'm very, very happy right now, what I'm doing here. Great team, great leadership.
That's cool. So now let's go to the move to Australia. So now that's your fourth country or even continent of residence, really, almost. How is that shift? I mean, Australians are definitely different than Americans for sure, and Indians. I mean, how is that shift down to Sydney?
Shift down to Sydney, I think I had a very good vibe even before I started here in Australia, because because I had to move all the way from Dubai to Australia, there is a lot of things, a lot of factors that go into it. Like you have to ship everything that you have in Dubai to Australia. You have to make sure everything is smooth. You have to leave on time, come here on time, the things like that. And at that point, there is COVID going. There is COVID already taking rounds. It's not. Still, there was no lockdown, but it's very much prominent at that point. So then the amount of
sorry, so that was January 2020 or January 2019?
It's end of January and first week of Feb. It's between
of last year.
Yeah. So okay. So I spent 1 month in India. So I spent 1 month in India, and then I needed that break to spend with my parents and my friends. So Clayton Utz HR team and P&D team, they took care of every little detail, like right from the shipment to making sure we land on time. There's someone to pick us up at the airport. They took very good care of us for the entire family. They made sure there is temporary accommodation for 21 nights so that with all facilities, so that we can look out for home. And we found a place to lease, of course, in just 4 days after we landed in Sydney. So if we haven't done that, we couldn't have found a home easily because lockdown started 2 weeks after we arrived in Sydney. Wow. So we arrived in Feb 14th and lockdown happened in March 1st week. Wow. So we only had 2 weeks. So I was very fortunate. Things fell in place on right time. I took decisions on the right time. Everything was smooth. And I landed up in a very good place, safe place. When everywhere it's all locked down. Sydney never went into a complete more than 1 week lockdown at any point. Wow. Melbourne did go into a lot of lockdowns, but Sydney has always been open and people are very responsible. That's the reason why Sydney has been open all the time, because they were wearing masks when they're asked to wear masks. They're staying at home when they're asked to stay at home. They were very disciplined, very responsible. I loved that, and so I always had my morning walks and evening walks. I never missed them. That's like a treasure for you when you know what's happening around the world. Yeah, I loved it. I made the right decision on the right time, and I'm very happy where I am. And yeah, that's all about my transition from India to Australia.
So in your current position. You're obviously managing the technology side of things. I assume you're still doing a lot of consulting with clients, with firm clients, mostly Australian clients or international as well?
Mostly Australian clients, and also we have international clients. And it's a complete. It's like I had to unlearn everything I know until this point.
What do you mean?
So. The more I ask the question I don't know, the better I am, the better I do at work right now, right here. Because the way you do things in Australia is completely different. Here, the parties would exchange data, not in concordance load file. They exchange data in ringtail MDB format for the start. Because ringtail has been very popular, prominent. That's where this is Australia was the origin for ringtail. So still parties exchange data in MDB format, not in concordance load file. Though they load that data back into relativity, they still use exchange format as it's all embedded. It's all embedded in you, right? And another interesting thing is you stamp the document. So you have processed the data. You're exporting that data from your processing tools. You stamp those documents. You give a unique identifier at the time of export, and you carry that same unique identifier until the point of productions. You never reassign the bits. So you assign an identifier at the beginning when the data was processed, and that's it. You carry that identifier all day long. I love that. I love that idea.
Which makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, I love that idea, and I hope globally we pick it up sometime. But I'm not sure we ever pick it up. But I really love that idea. And at the same time, now slowly, gradually, people realize that we need to change these exchange protocols. And I also have seen people started exchanging in concordance load file instead of ringtail MDB, which is a good shift, because It does make sense. Most of the clients have relativity as review platform and other review platforms. So having it in MD and having it in a concordance load file makes their lives and our lives easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the two interesting things that I really love here.
Mm-hmm. So let's a little bit of a different question. I remember when you actually got ACED certified, and you know, I think it seemed to me that was a pretty major event that happened. How do you feel that certification, whether it be an ACEDS type general eDiscovery certification, or your relativity certified, any of the other types of certifications, how has that impacted your career? How's it helped you? How's it made any, maybe it didn't make any difference in terms of your actual career, but from a personal growth perspective, maybe it did. What's your take on certification?
My take on certification, especially if you're not in US, certifications really help. Something like ECHERTS, which give you that global international exposure to federal rules, how things work there, things like that. And when it comes to technology certifications, be it BrainSpace, Relativity, NUIX, they give you confidence. So international certificates would give you knowledge that you don't acquire in your local regional areas. Mm-hmm. And technology certifications give you the confidence to do your job better. Because certifications would help you again. My policy is simple. My career policy has been simple. I always say, I don't know. That has been my mantra throughout my 10 years of my journey, because everything I have is an accumulation from different people. So different people help me to accumulate whatever I have. That's my seniors, my juniors, the people I have trained, they also taught me something. So it's just whatever I had is accumulation from others. There's nothing me. So when there is nothing me, so I always say, I don't know what's next. How do I do it differently? So no matter how many times, though I did my ECHERTS certification, ECHERTS, I did go through ECHERTS manuals. Whenever somebody published an eDiscovery book again, I'm very curious to pick it up and see what's in there. Because again, I don't know, maybe there's something new I have missed. And right. I strongly believe this is a niche area. eDiscovery is a niche area where everyone has their own way of doing things, and everyone's definitions of everything would be different. Because way back in 2010, when you Google for eDiscovery, nothing comes up, 0 results. I still remember 0 results in 2009. So everything I have learned is from my seniors. So they might be wrong. And I realized that they were wrong. And so that's the reason. That's the reason I always say I don't know, because I was always dependent on learning things. And yeah, certifications is where you can learn the standards of doing things, but it is it's not a stopping point for you where you say, yes, I have this. Now I know everything. So that's my suggestion, and that's what I do, and I also suggest others to do. Just say I don't know and learn. Keep learning.
Just keep learning. Yeah, and I think that
kind of that's actually been my mantra since I was about 6, but that's more,
I don't know. I don't know, or to keep learning.
Yeah. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that's more a result of my early exposure to parochial school education than anything else.
Could be. I think that also ties into, a lot of people within the industry probably know you from the 3 things that you post on LinkedIn, and you've done a really nice job of creating a social media presence for yourself. How'd that come about? Was that a conscious? I mean, like some things, like these chats that Tom and I do, it just kind of was like, hey, we should do something. Okay, let's do something. And it just kind of happened. Was your LinkedIn presence, was that a conscious decision or thought, or kind of did it just, you put it out there, people liked it, so you just started doing it?
Top 3 picks is. I hear a feedback. Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Top three picks. Still hear a feedback. 1 second. Let me see if it's
Okay.
No.
Tell them you don't know.
Oh, just blame it on technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think now there is no feedback now. Yeah, perfect.
Okay,
perfect. Good. Okay. See, this might sound weird, but I transformed into a spiritual person in 3 years. I was an easygoing guy who always did not care much. And then something happened in 2016, right from my childbirth to where I am right now. It's all more like magical. Things started falling in place just like that. And 2018, if you would ask anybody in the industry, do you know Pavan Kotha? They would say, no, I don't know that guy. That was fact. 2018, right. Nobody knew who is Pavan Kotha. But magical things happen. It took me all the way to getting an Lit Support All-Star Award. And then when I questioned back, what did I do? Or what did I do to deserve this award? The answer I could find is I did not deserve any of it. I did not deserve any of it. It's just the people in the industry, they owned me and they just handed it off to me. I have done nothing that's brilliant, exceptional, outstanding. I have not done that. Just people owned me, and they owned me because I started answering questions in relativity community site. Mm-hmm. And it kind of, my presence has expanded globally just doing 5 minutes every day. So every day, 3 to 4 minutes, I did that to learn from others. I'll be honest. I did that to learn from others. And whenever I knew the answer, I used to post the answer. And that became a routine. Then it became a ritual. That's when it's widespread. I believe that's what, because any award is voting. So it's like popularity contest, you can say. So more people know you, more people voted for you, and you got it. As simple as that.
So you're telling me you do that 5 minutes a day? That's all?
Sorry, I didn't.
The relativity community, are you still answering for 5 minutes a day?
I'm still not doing that. I'll be honest. So
okay.
I'm still not doing that. So that's the reason I know that I can't do it forever at one point, because either somebody should post questions and answer them. So I thought, how about I create an actual platform or something where I can help and share more of this stuff. From that's where, how can I give back to the community which showed so much love to me? That's the point. That's the thought. And then I started doing this top 3 picks. Again, the same thing. I learned so much stuff, and then I pick few and I share with others. I'm still learning. It's right. I'm not doing any favors here again. I'm learning. I love 3, and I put them as top 3 picks.
Very cool, and thereby helping the entire community learn, which is awesome.
And I get more connections, because I haven't. Right. When you mention someone in your top 3 picks, they definitely reach out to you. Either they can reach out to you to say simple thanks, or they reach out to you to learn more about you. So you're also making connections. You're also sharing. That's the best thing. I right. love connecting with people. And yeah, top 3 picks really helped me to expand, not my present, but expand, get more connections and
right.
know more person.
Yeah, just overall your network within the industry. So, yeah, that's cool. What's so you've gone from being a presence within the relativity community to LinkedIn. What's next? What are you taking over? What's your next platform that you're going to take over?
There is no next, because I never planned things, right? So when I have planned all this, if you ask me this question, I would say yes. There are a lot in queue. I'm planning things, but again, there are a few things that happen. I might start a podcast, something like this, very soon. That could happen. That's still in my head. There are a few co-hosts like you, and again, I got inspired from you, and also from my learning experience. You should never do things alone. If you do things alone, you're either killing yourself or you're not progressing at all. So yeah, having a partner is always a good thing in life and also at work, and even in something like small podcast like this. So I did finalize my co-host. Details to be revealed very soon. That's all I have in near future in next couple of months.
Cool.
Great. Cool. Well, I'm all for hearing more from people in other parts of the world. We get so U.S. centric here. Like you said before, we're a niche market, and in the U.S. we're a niche within a niche. I mean, we don't talk to people in Canada, for crying out loud. So I'm really eager to see what you do in terms of trying to flip the switch on that. That'd be great.
Yeah, it's called, I'll give away the title. It's called Beneath the Iceberg. So that's the theme of the podcast. So it's all about our people. Our people, according to me, are supermans. In any field, you stick to one thing, you go deep dive into it, and you master it. That's it. You're great. But in this industry, you need to know all of it. Jack of all, sometimes master of all. It's not easy. And beyond this, you need to manage client expectations, team expectations, and you need that personality type where when you're under pressure, you need to give your best. That's not easy. So we are actually superhumans. So
I told you. We're
I really wanted to see what's beneath that superhumans. How did you become superhuman? What made you superhuman? So that's the theme of theme on what I'm looking at. I'm really excited and really looking forward to it. More details to be shared very, very soon.
Cool. Looking forward to hearing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tom, you got anything else before we take us out? The final question.
I think the only other thing I'd like to get from you, if I could, Pavan, is a sense of where we are. I talked to Rachi about this a lot, where they are in terms of the of COVID. Again, in the U.S., we're very niche. It's become a political agenda, not a health care issue. And you know, how are things in your part of the world? Not just Australia, but really in the rest of the globe. How are things? You know, we're starting to feel a little bit more optimistic that by the end of this year, perhaps we'll start to see things turning around. And you know, I'm optimistic about 2022, but that optimism could be shattered, you know, instantly. You know, depending on how things go. So, what's your feeling over there?
Here in Australia or whoever I get in touch globally as well, I think things are really optimistic right now. Everyone, even in US, whoever I talk to, they're still going out, which is great. Now they're able to go out. In Australia, we always the offices are always open, which is cool. I would say, except restaurants. That's the restaurant and tourism did take a toll because of COVID.
Yeah.
Other industries, they were open. The offices were open, and government did allow people to go to offices, and the public transports were always open, as long as you're taking all the precautions of wearing masks, making sure you sanitize yourself more often. So that we never seen any major impact of COVID, of course, other than a few sectors and few industries. And right now, everyone are making an effort to at least go once in a week to office or twice in a week to office. So that, and if you ask me, I'm doing it in next level. So I'm doing it. I'm always either sitting in balcony if I'm at home, or if I'm not going to office, then I'm sitting in few public areas where there are no walls, because it kind of, because I was in home for a very long time, any walls making me feel a little bit depressed. I don't know why. So I wanted to get out of that thing. So I'm being in open areas as much as possible, working in open areas, doing gym in open areas. In that way, I feel I'm more alive. Mm-hmm. And I see the same with most of the people in Australia. They are coming out. They were always out, but in a more responsible way. So everywhere, if people are responsible, I think it would work out. So, if you take India, my home country where my parents live right now, I was very scared because one of the second most populous country in the world. And you maintaining social distance if people are not staying at home is really hard.
Right.
And I'm glad my parents are still healthy. They were never affected because of COVID, and they're still working. They're still working. We own our own shop, so they're still working. So even in a country like India, where you have the most population, the people are now out. Restrictions are lifted up, and they're still surviving. Is a great optimistic thing. And people are going to movie theaters to watch movies in 100% occupancy. That is great. That sounds great to me. So everyone started resuming their life. So I'm very happy. That's what I hear from every part of the world.
Good.
Cool.
Good.
Okay, so Tom, take us out.
All right. Well, as Rachi said at the onset, our standard closing question is, if you could spend one day with anybody from our profession, living or dead, doesn't have to be somebody who you know now, and you don't have to spend the day doing something in our profession with them. You don't have to be, processing data or reviewing data. It could be going fishing, going to a movie in a movie theater. That would be awesome. Who would you spend that day with, and what would you do?
That would be Carl Lobai from Rinto. He's in UK. He's from UK. So why do I say Carl Lobai? He's one of the most spiritual guys, and someone who came from a non-technical background. He comes from a non-technical background. He learned computers, everything by himself, and he got into forensics, and he made all the way into this industry. And he's also a sane man, most sane man I ever met in this industry. He's always calm, at peace. It's not easy to find someone like that. So the more time I spend with Carl Lobai, the more sane I feel. So that would be him. So I remember we went for a lunch with Carl Lobai on Relativity Fest, and he was looking at all the surroundings. He has this awe in his face. He's happy in the present moment. He lives happy in the present moment. That's something I really you get that kind of nature installed only you be with more people like that. So yeah, I would spend that day with Carl Lobai in the industry.
Cool.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's from Rio Tinto, UK.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Pavan. This is great. I always enjoy talking with you. It's great to have some extended time. We appreciate your taking time out of your busy day to do this.
No, pleasure is all mine, Tom and Rachi.
Hopefully, if things continue to be optimistic, well, not this year. I guess Relativity announced last week they're doing their conference virtually this year again. There won't be a live one. So
London is happening very soon. Yeah.
Yes, and so I don't know that there'll be. Well, I guess ILTA is going to do a hybrid. They say they're going to do a hybrid. It's a long way between now and August, so we'll see. Hopefully, knock on wood, that works out for them.
2022.
Yeah, I think 2022.
Scenario would be 2022.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a big turnaround, and things certainly not back to normal, but we'll have some more activity going. I forget if it was either United or American Airlines today or yesterday announced they just put in a big order for some 777s from Boeing in anticipation of expanded business in 2022.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll
So there's some businesses that are certainly planning that way, which was great to hear. So
Excellent.
Hopefully we'll get to see it at one of those. Actually, I'd love to see it in Sydney if I could figure out a way to get over there. But yeah, one of these days. Actually, we should just split the difference and meet in Hawaii. I think that would be
I'm good with that.
Gail and I spoke at the New Zealand Law Conference. Oh, it must have been 20 years ago now.
Wow.
They brought over a bunch of us from the ABA. They brought over about 6 or 7 people, and Gail and I diverted on the way back. Yeah, we stopped and
took a little stop. Nice.
Spent a couple of days on the beach there. Yeah. Well, she was on the beach. I was up the beach under an umbrella with a cigar.
Right.
Of course. Yes.
Jonathan
amazing.
Mas actually
hardly
worked in Australia for quite some time. Jonathan Mas did work in Australia for quite some time. So
Really?
he was
All right.
to all the Bondi beaches and the things he
There we
loves
go.
here.
Great. Great. Well, thanks again, Pavan. Rocky, as always, have some crowd cakes for me while you're in Baltimore. I was looking at the Hopkins lacrosse schedule, thinking because I got vaccinated now.
You can do whatever you want now, right?
I got flight clearance now. Yeah. And I was thinking about maybe by the end of the season in April when it starts to get warmer. So if you're still on the 60-day quarantine,
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
We'll see. We'll see.
For everybody else, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time in the eDiscovery channel. Thank you.
Thank you.